December 2020's Word Up, the last Word Up of the year. We of Word Up acknowledge that some of us are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe and Huron-Wendat people. Word Up is dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. Tonight we have Michael Marola and Cornelia Hoogland. Cornelia is the award-winning poet of Trailer Park Elegy and Woods Wolf Girl. She has the 2019 Writer in Residence for both the Al Purdy A-Frame and the Whistler Literary Society. Cosmic Bowling is a collaborative work of Ted Gooden's ceramic sculptures and Cornelia Hoogland's poems. They are responding through image and text to the 64 hexagrams contained in the ancient Book of Wisdom, the I Ching, or Book of Changes. Cosmic Bowling's calm weather lands in the midst of Twitter storms in which everybody wants to start a conversation. Here's a conversation facilitated through visual art and poetry that's been going on for 3 millennia, one that asks the perennial question, how should we live now? So everybody, Cornelia Hoogland.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to read with Michael Marola. It's nice to be thinking of myself in Barrie. I've only been to Barrie a couple of times, but I have strong memories of it. And I am a little bit envious of the snow that you've been having the last couple of weeks off and on. I want to thank Linda and Colleen for inviting me and for hosting this reading and for Word Up. It's terrific. I'm reading from a beautiful new book published by Guernica. I'll just give you a quick glimpse of the cover there. It's called Cosmic Bowling. And because we're coming to the time of the year where the light has really darkened, I'll start with that. It's called Darkening of the Light. Let's say there are 10 pictures. In 9 of them, I'm what everybody thinks I am, dutiful. But in the 10th, I'm as I know myself to be. Even when I was a kid, there was a room at my center. It had windows that opened to the stars. Time and space whirled outward, except it was me expanding. So I am going to talk a little bit about the format of the book, which is my first collaboration, but I'll just give you 2 more poems, and it's 4:10. I just got to watch the time a bit here. 1:35. Okay. These are the last 2 of 64 poems in this book. This one is 63. It's the second to the last, and it's this book has been written in collaboration with the I Ching, which is a very old Chinese text. So the little joke here is that the penultimate poem is titled After Completion, which is of course very odd. Don't throw yourself away on the world, but wait. I meet myself every day in these hexagrams, my impatience, my striving. I wake early and write in bed. My sleeping partner, my dog. More and more I feel ripples of tenderness toward me and my efforts to find balance, like learning to bowl all those gutter balls. And then to continue the irony, the very last poem in the book, those funny Chinese, this one is called Before Completion. At birth, we're turned loose into a moving field, endless adjustments as we position and reposition ourselves like geese in erratic flight, seeking permission to land. The desire to belong, this flock movement that so engages. The line drive when it comes at you hard. The thwack when it hits your glove. So this is the first reading that I've done in a while without my good partner Ted Gooden, who did the illustrations, or not the illustrations, but did the visual art for this. And so there are 6-line poems on each page, but facing that is a ceramic sculpture made by Ted. And both of the sculptures and the poems are in response to the I Ching. So it's a triangulation, this project. And what strikes me as I was trying to think about the poems that I would read, Ted and I often talk about the collaborative process, because that was such a big part of making this book. But I thought I might talk about energy. We all can use some energy in these COVID times. There's just no doubt about it. That's probably one of the things that, even if we aren't affected in terms of wage loss and sickness even, or many other things, we all do know something about a flattening of energy. So I realized that a lot of these poems are really interested in moving energy around. Even in this last poem that I just read, the line drive when it comes at you hard, the thwack when it hits your glove. The main, well, and the entire world is dependent upon the sun for its energy. It's I looked it up just before we came online, and I read that the energy that the sun produces in 1 hour, it takes the earth 1 year to spend. That's a lot of energy. And all that energy that the sun is giving us, it's a giveaway. The sun gives it and doesn't get anything back, not like photosynthesis or the rain cycle, where there are cycles of nature where things are replenished. This energy that the sun donates is just gone. So, and I think that the I Ching, this old ancient Chinese text, really is interested in the sun's energy too. And I wasn't aware how much of it spilled over into these poems. This is the first one. This is called The Creative. So the next time you're wondering where you're going to get the energy from to write a poem, look to the sun. 6 unbroken lines, and I'll just explain to you that these are called hexagrams, and there are 6 lines here in each hexagram, and they form different patterns. You see in this one, there's an entrance right here, there's a break, there's 2 solid lines, and then there's another break, and then a solid line. Well, there's 64 human situations that we can engage, and one of those human situations is called the creative. 6 unbroken lines forge a white-hot connection. We're born for heat. Maybe lava, Earth's molten core, maybe the sun's energy. We human neuroelectric light bulbs winking our 100 watts. The 6 steps equal 6 dragons to climb. They are not sleeping. So the interesting little scientific fact there is that we actually carry around 100 watts of energy. We could create a small glow in a room if you plugged us in, which is kind of fun to think about. Another really big passion of mine, I've published a book on using Red Riding Hood as a source for writing poetry, are fairy tales. And this is The Receptive. And these cows, by the way, that I talk about here are the cows along the 401 driving from London, Ontario to Hamilton. The Receptive. Snow fills the forest framed by the ebony window. The fairy tale queen puts down her needlework and wishes for a child. The season deepens. Hoarfrost numbs the grass. Ice needles the ground. 6 cows in the winter field, their hot breath steaming the air. So do you know what fairy tale that is? The forest, the queen putting down her needlework and wishing for a child? No? How about Sleeping Beauty? Remember, she was to have black raven hair and red, the color of the 3 drops of blood, and be white as snow. That was how the fairy tale goes. Here's a bit more energy, and this in the form of children. I'll just show you the image. I hope you can see that there. That's sort of a backwards flip. Difficulty at the beginning. Like playing cards, the jelly girls flip over the lawn, somersault, backbend. Each fanning rib is a ruffling wake, each quivering heart on its high wire over Niagara. Difficult and mysterious to be alive? Maybe. But when you're 9 years old, easy to gamble on handsprings. So those are our granddaughters I'm talking about, and it was really fun because Ted actually had them model. These are all male figures, but he still had to get the actual gesture right, and he had the girls model their back flips for him. Well, the natural world is, of course, just throbbing with energy. And so here is one called Youthful Folly. Keep moving, don't stop. Hesitating at the crease of the net is folly. You're young, says the Tao. You don't know life flows through you in waves. Across the midday sky, the moon is sometimes visible. The red-lipped cranberry bosses the bees from bloom to bloom. Seed hitches a ride in the dog's fur. The bean planted under the ground doesn't know at first which way is up. So there's a kind of lovely idea of the natural world, being very active in its own ways and passing the energy along. I mean, I love the idea of a seed, the way they, especially those prickly burrs catch onto an animal's fur and carries it to a new place. When I was writing these poems, I had, I write early in the morning, as I said in one of these earlier poems, and I had one of Ted's sculptures in front of me, and I had the I Ching itself, the book, and I had my own poetic thoughts, whatever I was puzzling about that day or that week. And some of the poems refer directly to the sculptures, and some are well, they land more lightly on the sculptures, and they land on it, but then flip off in their own direction. So this one is called Waiting. Light emerges from out of these sculptures. They have their own pulse, steady and below awareness. Not just the individual images, but the transitions among them. Nothing's fixed. The sculptor releases beauty. It will return in another creation. He's the accomplice, handmaiden to his work. And that's a great idea. I almost can. Like when you're writing a poem, quite often you find a really, really favorite line. What do you call those? Your babies or something? And somebody says to you, that line isn't really serving your poem very well. You should really let it go. And it's really hard to give that line up. And so the whole idea that, like the energy from the sun, there is enough beauty to just keep recycling and coming round, and you can let it go or spend it or, yeah. Where am I in my reading? I'll read a couple more here. apparently insomnia is a really, really big problem during COVID, and a lot of people are lying awake worrying about the world. And so here's one, and this was pre-COVID, of course, but it's called Conflict. Awake at 3 a.m. in racketing rain, drumming runoff, boggy demons muddy me, riddles of early hurt and private mire, but I'm finished cringing. My emotions are weathers, storms passing through, saved in the flood or drowning. It's the sorting that soul's work at 3 a.m. in the dark, in the rain. So I hope that doesn't describe you, but it does describe all of us at one time or another, doesn't it? Yeah. There's also the idea of withholding energy. And so I've tried to capture that as well, saving your energy. This is the idea here that I'm working with is a soccer player. And all my children play soccer, and our grandchildren play soccer as well. So I've watched a lot of games. And the way the soccer player handles the ball between your feet and waits for the moment is fun. The power of even a small restraint accumulates by withholding its expression, harder than you might think. Swift kick to the soccer goal takes as much force as restraining that kick. My foot trembles. In a lot of ways, you know, a lot of these poems certainly can be applied to writing as well. I see that now, both the waiting and the moving around of energy in a piece of writing. I don't know, do you have any thoughts about that?
If anyone wants to comment or reply, just hit unmute. Maybe not.
Okay, I'm replying. I'm Madam X now. I kind of like that. Yeah, I like your idea of energy evolving, being recycled, and at 3 a.m. jamming up. I wrote a little note there. I said I'm usually up with muddy demons tromping through my brain. So yeah.
Yeah. And when you're writing as well, you're really hoping to capture the energy. You know, often, you know, I teach memoir writing here on Hornby Island, and I tell my students really often, well, you know, your piece really begins here, and I point to halfway down the page. They don't like that very much, but often it just takes us a little while to warm up to what we want to say. And these poems, although they are the shortest poems that I've ever written in my life, actually, just let me tell you a tiny little bit about that. But let me just say that they were very, very short, but they took a lot of revision to get to where they are. Many revisions. The book before this was called Trailer Park Elegy, and so it was a 85-page poem. So one very long poem. And so when I decided to write these 6-line poems, I can't tell you how delighted I was and how much joy I had. And I could sometimes whip off 3 of these little things in one morning. I mean, look how tiny they are.
Well, they are
So,
tiny.
yeah, they're almost you know, like a haiku. So they were very, very, very fun to write. And I would encourage any of you who are, if you're feeling stuck, just to really limit yourself to 6 lines. As a matter of fact, Arlene Paré has just put out a call for family secrets. Now, come on, we've all got a few family secrets we're sitting on. And the restrictions for the poets are 14 lines. And I wrote back to Arlene and I said, are you kidding? How can you write about a family secret in 14 lines?
Right, but when you start the poem, the little mini poem,
Yeah.
Does it start out with 10 lines, or does it start out with 20 lines and you pare it down?
Well, it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't end up being as neat as it is in this book. So it can be more lines at the start, but it certainly does get pared down. Yes. Once in a while, the poem, landed pretty much the way I have it on the page, but that's pretty rare, as you know. Yeah. Yeah. Here's one that I'll maybe end with, and then we'll give Michael his chance. This one is called Pushing Upwards. So sometimes the writing, of course, does feel like you're pushing a bloody rock up a hill. And here the image of this, I'll just show it to you, is really of a person, a man pushing a ball uphill. Success is assured. I'm trying to work differently, write in the confidence of success. Visualize my ragged lines already in the hands of a reader, just a matter of me catching up. Or the tagged monarch butterfly, powered by nectar and instinct, at rest in Belo Horizonte, its 3,000-kilometer flight complete. Hard work, but who would Sisyphus be without his ball?
Oh, great last line.
Well, thanks very much. It's been really a joy to read to you, and we're not gone yet, but we'll shift gears.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Okay, everybody. Thank you, Cornelia. Excuse me. Of course, now my throat is got frog in it. But next we have Michael Marola, whose publications include 3 Bressani Prize winners, the novel Berlin from 2020, the poetry collection The House on 14th Avenue from 2014, and the short story collection Lessons in Relationship Dyads from 2016. He has also authored 2 novellas, 3 novels, 2 short story collections, and a second poetry collection. The short story, A Theory of Discontinuous Existence, which is a great title, was selected for the Journey Prize anthology, and The Sand Flea was a Pushcart Prize nominee. His latest novella, The Last News Vendor, first claimed place in the Reader's View Awards. A speculative fiction collection, Paradise Islands and Other Galaxies, came out in the fall. In 2019, Michael served a 3-month writer's residency at the historic Joy Kogawa House in Vancouver, during which time he finished the first draft of a novel, The Second Law of Thermodynamics. When not writing, Michael serves as editor-in-chief of Guernica Editions and Canadian literary publishing house. Born in Italy, raised in Montreal, he lives in Hamilton. Everybody, Michael Marola.
Thank you, everyone. Am I on? Do I have to mute myself or unmute myself? No? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, you're good.
I can hear you.
All right.
Okay, now I can't hear anybody.
Okay, so Michael, can you hear us? Oh, no.
Conduct are divided between the trivial and the meaningful. This is deceiving terminology for one not used to our semantics, since the titles have little to do with the content, and it doesn't pay to put too much meaning into them. This morning's scoop, for example, contains under the trivia heading, Rule 1, do not shake hands with anyone. And Rule 3, your eyesight will continue to worsen now that it's summer. Blindness will be the end product. Under the meaningful were rule 2, proceed to simulated center cemetery and place flowers on hologram of your mother's grave. And the already mentioned 4th rule. One of yesterday's rules was a suggestion that I discovered the pattern behind the use of the terms trivial and meaningful. I failed in the sense that I could not find a common quality of triviality or meaningfulness, except by labeling them all trivial or meaningful, or labeling them at random. But that's ridiculous for rules of conduct. In the formal manner here used are absolutely necessary to life. In fact, they might be called rules of life if it weren't for the slightly pedantic taste this leaves in one's mouth. What would happen if all of us suddenly decided to disregard these rules? I remembered vividly the day I rejected my cube. What would happen if Snevik decided he no longer would hand me my cube? What would occur if Snevik decided he no longer would hand me my cube? Would we all freeze, unable to move? Or worse, would we go out into the streets, stumbling blindly, wandering aimlessly, bumping into one another and inanimate objects, driving nowhere, growing old in garbage cans? Rumors circulate of pre-rule days when these were the conditions universally accepted. Horrendous novels describe these meanderings endlessly, page after boring page. One of the best was called The Free Will Syndrome, in which the characters were presented a choice between such standard themes as heroism and cowardice, the virgin and the whore, coitus inversus and atergo, ascot and tie. Another was Apathetic Sympathy, the story of a metaphysical rebel, written by the officer who executed said rebel. They are silly, frivolous things in the manner of all pre-rule writing, left not purely for our amusement when the rules so dictate. Intellectually, we need nothing but the rules. They are both philosophy and art, both religion and fiction, both meaning and demeaning. 5. Snevik is teaching me to read in Braille, for I'll be blind soon. When I first discovered that my eyes were deteriorating and that, although there existed specialists who could cure me, I wouldn't be able to make contact with them, I acted in a childish manner, rule 2 for that day. I panicked, attempted to return the rules to Snevik, thus pretending I'd never seen them. I pleaded with him to give me another set just for once. Nivenses, for example, but I was simply throwing a tantrum. I knew what I asked for was impossible. Rules of conduct are inexorable and deny all pretense. I had only to look at the expression on Snevik's face to realize that. The funny thing, however, is that I haven't noticed the least change in my eyesight. Perhaps that is due to the relative perspective involved, a change in the structure of the cubes themselves to compensate, more tactility, perhaps, or increased audio participation. At any rate, blindness will come in one stroke, although I shall have gone through all the steps of semi-blindness and visual deterioration. When blind, I can, thanks to Snevik, continue to follow the rules. He informs me that these rules, in keeping with the new feel bumps and knobs on the cubes, will become more physical as time goes by. Mountain climbing courses, he assures me, will be the norm, and I can look forward to at last getting my driver's license, denied me thus far for poor eye-hand coordination. He also says that the central computer, once it discovers your particular defect, indulges in all sorts of practical jokes. It may, for example, order you to read the entire library of Middle English literature in the original, or to enroll in the school for retired fire persons. I'm anticipating an old age replete with adventure and good fortune. Sivens, the neighbor on my left, who was ordered daily to suffer from amnesia, wanted to shake hands with me earlier in the day. I declined, giving my hurry to get to the cemetery as an excuse for not stopping to chat. Sivens is naturally prone to talk for hours and even bothers strangers to have a word with them, to ask questions such as, what are those things waving like trees in the wind? Trees, you say? Ah, he says, those things waving like trees in the wind are trees. Tragically, yes, but one can't help the rules one is given. It would be like questioning one's existence or separating oneself into essence and existence. No, I wasn't in any hurry to see a dubious person as my mother, but a queer way of expressing a purely symbolic gesture for a purely symbolic creature. Not even the rules can erase totally the old-fashioned terms that acted out in their own demented rules. Why, there was a time when mothers were actually living beings and not simulated holograms resting in peace forever, when the word itself carried with it enough instruction and protocol to last a lifetime. Nothing wrong with that. The problem was that such words were vague, ill-defined, and worst of all, gave the impression there was a choice in the matter, that one could do otherwise, for example, than honor thy mother. Impressions of this type led to the rash of mother killings near the chaotic end of the pre-rule days. 6, you may well ask what the point of this is. It has been asked in one of the strangest rules I've ever come across. Why indulge in the game of existence when all the moves are made for you now and forever? Why pretend a struggle of decisions and choices when only a blank memory remains to back up these words? There are many reasons, of which I have been ordered to know but a few: to remove all fear of nihilism and anarchy, carelessness or intentional mischief, to create beautiful patterns of order and disorder, to know you can step out safely onto the street without being sucked up through space toward the searing eye of the sun. If one of the rules orders A to rob a bank, another will command B to arrest him. C will have instructions to judge. D injects the drug that permits A to return to society, and so on, in a delicate and complex building of action, reaction, and interaction. Motives and sublimations never come into play unless it is so ruled. If either A or B is shot in the process of carrying out their rules, it won't cause a general panic. Wars are conducted in a series of negotiated advances and retreats between our computer and the enemy's, with only an increase in the spewing out of cubes to indicate what is happening. Simple and neat, the cleanliness of order within seeming disorder. The disturbing factor in all of this is death, naturally. It is the only thing not regulated yet. Some, however, believe that the time of your death is also known in advance. From where, no one is sure, but you're not told for fear that the shock might cause irreparable damage to your rule control center. Very commendable if true. Still, death continues to appear to be a natural event that has remained entirely so, unintelligent and chaotic. Or so we are led to believe. By the same ones, I guess, who are preparing us for our great mission in life. Not us individually, of course, us as a species. Another puzzling aspect of our lives on which this idea of some future purpose might shed light is the uncommon but regular occurrence of the circular rule. As an example, take rule X. Please disobey all rules on this cube. This particular rule has baffled the minds of generations of social philosophers. That is, those concerned with the genesis of rules, commands, and instructions. There are sad cases of individuals who received this rule on the first day of adulthood, the earliest date of which we have any memory. And they spent the rest of their lives analyzing it, working it out, and failing to accomplish anything. They haunt the streets with a blank look on their faces. For every tortured step forward they advance, you can rest assured they will take one back. The problem lies in the fact that if one disobeys all rules as ordered, it follows that rule X must also be disobeyed. Therefore, all rules are to be obeyed, which once again leads back to the original rule X, also to be obeyed. The solution to this will probably lead to the solution of an entire pyramid of unanswerables, perhaps even that curious disintegration called death. Coding something like, please disobey all rules, but this one is simply giving a new rule and also evading the issue. This is the cycle of language that even our rules of conduct haven't been able to break, or were they meant to break it in the first place? 7, rule 5, under the meaningful heading, you are to blame Snevig for your approaching blindness because he did nothing to prevent it, to get you to a specialist on time. Instead, he accepted the situation with a look of pity and a shrug. Snevig caused my blindness, of course. How could I have been so stupid not to realize that? Rule 6, under the trivial heading, before the setting of the sun, a glorious sight in the lull between coming and going, you will invite Snevig to dinner, prepackaged macaroni and cheese casserole plate. You will hesitate before putting on the second layer of macaroni and sprinkle poison, your choice, between it and the first. This is for heinous crimes against your body and therefore the species. He will be replaced immediately. Poor Snevig. Does he know? Parts of it, perhaps. Shall I use arsenic trioxide? I know nothing about poisons. Strychnine? The decision seems to have been left up to me. Snevik qualifies as my one friend, my one true companion. He has taught me how to react calmly at the thought of impending blindness and has given me invaluable assistance on what to do when I actually can no longer see. I can now read Braille with incredible speed, knowing instinctively which side of the cube to touch, to press. It's senseless to poison him, absurd in the most destructive way. Without his guidance, I'll be lost. And who knows if I'll ever adjust to a new Snevik? What if he's talkative and laughs all the time, or else wishes to play cards, enjoys running his hand through his hair or mine, pretends to know all the answers? I couldn't take someone like that. It would drive me mad. And Snevik, poor Snevik, an elegy for Snevik. He served me well as far as we could tell, and the rules allowed. Rule 7 as a postscript on the flip side. The body of the traitor, previously known as Snevik, will be removed by means of the portable crematorium. We will make the rounds of the neighborhood and arrive at your house early tomorrow morning. Please leave the body on the curb. 8. Snevik died last night with some type of fixed smile on his face. A piece of macaroni dribbled from his cheek. He flushed it down with wine, looked at me, a cleansing, and slumped in his chair. I checked through his rules and found they were the complements of mine, except that the poisoning wasn't mentioned. Did he read mine? Had he been reading them all along? Was he simply the messenger who brought a bottle of unknown substance to me as a gift? What are friends for, after all? I'll not die that way. I'll fight if it's in the rules. I didn't sleep at all. Rather, I kept vigil over the body. The night, I discovered, is the time for recovering of individual purpose and feeling. This was very unnerving. Why isn't the night also ordered by a series of rules? Black, slimy, carbon copy cubes that suck in, absorb all light. Everything tells me that logically it probably is, that its formlessness is simply a system of random but conforming particles. Or is it left alone on purpose so that creatures like me, who carry their satchels of doubt like bile, may have an outlet for all the thoughts and actions not yet regulated, arising from the primeval slime? A thought came to me. What if, let's say, I felt guilty for something I'd done? Let's say because of this, I decided to form a plan through which I could destroy the whole echelon of cube handers, draw uppers, computers, and makers. Let's say this plan was beautifully conceived, simple, well-timed, and utterly obvious, straight out of a pre-rule novel. It was a great plan, I found myself thinking at the time, but it has one flaw. I've forgotten it. Something vague remains about its essence being a series of link cutting steps, a destruction of the messenger system so that no cubes could be handed out. No one would have attempted to stop me since the rules don't apply at night, or do they? 2 men at my door this morning. This is 9. 2 men at my door this morning. One small and unsmiling, the other large and capable of minor affability. No names attached. They handed me the cube in unison, stuffed Snevik's body headfirst into the portable crematorium, and then departed. I watched them go down the street, a puff of smoke rising lazily from their machine. Under the combined heading, trivial and meaningful, the only rule of the day. Congratulations, you have passed all your tests successfully. Now we wish to inform you that your blindness was invented by us to shake you out of a spreading lethargy in which your thoughts dwell too much on what you were encoding. This form of lethargy is becoming prevalent in our society. Granted, much of the fault lies with us, but it must be curbed. As a consequence, and from a fear of your perceived blindness, you took to life through poisoning of one Snevik, known as your symbiotic twin, SN 5-22-9-7. Commendable act and very much in accordance with the rules. As a reward for services rendered, it is my duty and pleasure to inform you that, as of today, no further rules will be given to you. Think of it as an experiment with no chance of success, of course, toward a future dissolution. No hard feelings, eh? P.S. If you wish, you may scream. 10. X marks the spot. The numbers have changed. When am I? What are those trees waving in the wind like trees? Thank you.
Yay. That was interesting. Your stuff is always interesting. Does anyone have any questions for Michael about the story or about writing process or anything?
Wow, Michael, you wrote that in pre-COVID times?
Yep.
It sure speaks to our times, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah. No, actually, that story appeared in Tesseracts. I don't know if you remember. Tesseracts is the science fiction, the speculative fiction magazine out of Canada that selects a bunch of stories every year. So I wrote that for Tesseracts. That was quite a while ago, actually. Yeah.
How did
Mhm.
that story evolve? Like where was the starting point for that story?
I probably started with computers, and how computers get programmed. You've got to give them, you got to do some input to computers, and then they come out with stuff. And so I thought, well, well, will there be a day when similar kind of things will happen to human beings? Towards that. I mean, the way we are now, we're human beings have a tendency to believe in free will, but I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure whether we actually do have free will or not, or whether we're being pushed towards not having free will anymore. Seems to me that, like what I see today in our consumerist society, for example, I see people who are they seem to be programmed for shopping. They seem to be programmed to I make a joke all the time about in the future, when we're born, they'll implant something in us, like one of those barcodes, and that way when you go shopping at Walmart, you can just walk in with the barcode, and whatever you buy will be automatically sent to you, and to be punished, you'll be punished by not being allowed to go shopping, not being allowed to go to Walmart, right? So
Michael, I think the barcode thing, can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay, I think the barcode thing has already happened. I mean, I thought about ordering a portable vacuum cleaner the other day online, and I got ads popping up.
Of course.
We can read our thoughts now, Michael.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's it, yep.
Anyway,
It's true. Well, that was excellent. Thank you. It was I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, any other questions or thoughts, anybody?
You have one last question, Michael? Where are you? Okay, I can see you. Michael, I love that line. I put in the comment section. I love that line about it's saying the trees are swaying in the breeze like trees, but what are they?
Mhm.
And not knowing that they were trees. And then
Right.
you put that in at the end, which I thought was great. What made you think of that?
It has to do with language, and my like when I write my poetry, for example, my concentration is always on language and the meaning of words, and I'm thinking, okay, when we call something a tree, do we actually know what it is, or have we labeled it in some way without actually knowing what its internal, what its spirit, what its soul, what it actually really means? And I think the thing about the way human beings are, one of the most wonderful things we have is language. But at the same time, I think that language actually pushes us away from the world, because we're always trying to, instead of trying to grasp the natural world as it is. In other words, instead of being Zen Buddhist about it and just being there and not trying to label things, we tend to put labels on things and believe that by putting a label on something, we actually understand it. We actually think that we know what it is, right? But we don't. Right? We just know it because we've named it. We have given it a name, which it's so sad when I think about when we start losing that ability, through Alzheimer's, for example, or dementia, and we start to lose that ability to match up the world with our words, we're lost. You know, it's like we're no longer, and everybody else around us also, you know, they make us even feel more lost because you can't communicate with them anymore. You lose that, you know, and when you think about it, you should be able to communicate just by, I don't know, a hug or you know, whatever, you know. So anyway, that's I mean, language is incredible. I mean, we have to use it. We're writers, for God's sake, you know, when you think about it. But at the same time, to me, it's always you'll never. You know, I say that I've written poems where I actually say that I've spent my entire life writing to try to get to the thing as it is, to connect to bring the word as close as possible to the thing as it is, and it's something that will never happen, and probably the only way that you'll get close to the thing as it is to be the thing as it is, I guess, or to flow into it or something like that. But the writing will not do it.
A tree is a really good example of what you're saying, because we're still only just beginning to understand what they are. You know, we've just learned recently that they communicate, you know,
Right.
and that they've got a sort of a pulse. So it's a really good example of that.
Well, trees we learned that they communicate through their roots in many ways. So it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole community.
I love to. I saw the. I don't know if you've seen the. Talk about speculative fiction. The latest Star Trek Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
The season 1 where they discover a way to go across the universe by using the
mycelial network.
Exactly. You know, and apparently that was an idea given to them by someone in British Columbia, some scientist, or he studies fungi and stuff like that, and that's where they got the idea from. But yeah, it's an amazing when you think about it, being able to, it's actually teleportation in a way, right? You jump from one place to another without nothing in between. That's the other thing that I'm interested in is you know, like quantum physics, for example, or you know, the way that works without it being the ambiguity of position and speed, and the way, you know, we're all built out of those particles or waves or whatever you want to call them, you know, and but we tend to forget all that in our little worlds of you know, politics and that kind of stuff. Anyway, don't want to get into that tonight. But
No. No, this is our respite from that. Okay, well, I'm just going to do a very brief little blurb because we have a sponsor. And then if there's anyone who's got anything for open mic, let's give you a few seconds to prepare. With gratitude to the Barrie Rotary for sponsoring us this month. If you'd like to support them, visit barrierotary.com. They have eradicated polio, alleviated poverty. They're building equality and restoring peace since 1905. They continue doing their part and can donate. You can donate to their foundation at the rcbcf.com. And if you'd like to support our writers, just give us a message on our Facebook group or through our website. Does anybody have anything for open mic? I'm hearing something, but not seeing anyone. Anybody? If you're, you might want to unmute yourself if you're trying to talk. You may be muted. Frank sometimes has something for us. Silence. Okay, you know what? I'll get it started, and if no one's up for it tonight, that's fine. So I didn't write anything myself, but I thought it's December. It's Christmas. So I found a poem that I kind of like, and I see this every now and then over the years. It's called Mistletoe by Walter de la Mare.
Walter Dillon, my God. There's a high school man for you.
I know,
Yeah.
right? But it's cute, you know. And I didn't want to get into anything like if I wrote I think a Christmas poem, it might not be a little dark. I don't have my family anymore and I miss them, so I found one that was just only cute. So it's called Mistletoe. Sitting under the mistletoe, pale green, fairy mistletoe. One last candle burning low. All the sleepy dancers gone. Just one candle burning on. Shadows lurking everywhere. Someone came and kissed me there. Tired I was. My head would go nodding under the mistletoe. Pale green, fairy mistletoe. No footsteps came, no voice, but only, just as I sat there, sleepy, lonely, stooped in the still and shadowy air, lips unseen kissed me there.
Aw.
That's cute.
It was cute, eh? Does anyone have anything they want to read?
I do. Can you hear me? I was muted before.
Yes, we can.
You can hear me okay?
Yeah, can see you too.
I'll just turn this thing off here. I have a wee wee poem and a song that I kind of took a little Jingle Bells and extracted a little Ho Ho Santa's Got the Ho Ho Blues from a song I wrote a while ago and put them together. So I'll swing from one into the other. And you can hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. The poem, Children Making Circles. Children making circles, circles in the grass, covered lightly in snow, their feet tracing elliptical spheres and figure eights and faces of clowns, fingers dotting eyes and making hot dog noses and marshmallow ears and drawing ties and Santa beards.
That's good. I like that.
Thanks. Okay, this is Santa's Got the Ho Ho Blues. Hey! Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride one horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride a one horse open sleigh. Yeah, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride a one horse open sleigh. Hey. Santa's got the ho-ho blues, plumb out of barbecues. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? Santa's got the ho-ho blues. Hey, I drank a beer with the reindeer. Oops, that's no ho dear. I fear. Ha! Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride a one horse open sleigh. Yeah, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Hey. Oh, what fun it is to ride a one horse open sleigh. Yeah, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Yeah, oh, what fun it is to ride a one horse open sleigh. Hey. Santa's got the ho-ho blues, all out of pool cues. What's he gonna do's? What's he gonna do's? Santa's got the ho-ho blues. He drank a beer with a reindeer. Oops, that's no ho dear, I fear. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Hey, oh, what fun it is to ride a one-horse open sleigh. Yeah, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Yeah, oh, what fun it is to ride a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, a one-horse open sleigh. Make that a no-horse open sleigh. There, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. That was cute. That's right. It is a no horse sleigh, isn't it?
I don't, I don't even, yeah, yes.
Well, thank you, Frank. Anyone else have anything for us? It's not a requirement, just for fun, you know, good practice to get used to reading our work and stuff. Well, that's it, Frank. You're the star.
No, you are. You shone first.
Well, thanks everybody. Thank you again, Michael and Cornelia. Those were great. If anyone has any more questions or wants to talk about writing, we have some time for that. Want some feedback or, you know, is anyone writing any COVID stories? No? Okay. Well, thank you both very much, Cornelia and Michael, for sharing your work and your insights and all that wonderful stuff. Next Word Up is January 14th, 2021. Still always the second Thursday. We're going to be continuing on Zoom. We are in the midst of confirming our booking features for next year. But we're going to try a new format that we hope you'll enjoy because Zoom has been so interactive. We're going to try running a panel so it'll have more opportunities for questions and interaction. So stay tuned and please keep an eye on our Facebook page and our website for updates. We want to thank Rhubarb Media for hosting our website and thank Check Energy for hosting Zoom. And if you're worried about not getting any updates with the Zoom links, sign up for our newsletter at wordupbarrie.com. So all I got for you guys.
Wow.
You're word uppers now. Thanks for official.
Well, have a great holiday.
Thanks to all.
Yeah. And have a good New Year. We'll see you in 2021 where the world will be different, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll all have our barcodes then.
Speaking of barcodes, my book is for sale on the Guernica website. It's quite easy to find. You would be, you couldn't go wrong. Christmas gift. I'm sure Michael has got a special on right now too.
Free shipping, free shipping.
Free
Oh,
shipping.
good.
Merry
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah, good to know. Yeah, we do have your links on our webpage. Maybe we'll share them again on the Facebook page.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that cover. It's a great cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, really wonderful. Raphael Chiamati.
Chimicati.
Yeah. Really a great designer, I think. Yeah, you would know, Linda, about design, hey?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you showed us some pages. It's a nice layout there. And nice, you know, like the way they presented the visual work with it.
Well, we felt really lucky that Michael was happy to publish us. It's not an easy thing to do to get a publisher to publish a book of full color pages, a book of poetry with full color pages. We're very grateful, and done so beautifully was really nice too. It's a beautiful book.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, that is good. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think I've seen too many color poetry books.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so everyone go buy books for Christmas. You know, because you have, you know, shelves, right? Or maybe trade some books so you have room for more books. Okay, well, thanks for coming out, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Right.
Christmas.
You.
All the best in the new year.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
2021 can't be any worse than this one. So all the best to everybody.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah, happy writing.